Some years ago, I salvaged 3 face mills from a scrap bin, with permission of course. They were being thrown out from a very high level tool room in a very big company. An assessment at the time showed that they were seriously damaged and not usable. Time to see if we can do a revival on this 5-inch face mill. G'day, I'm Stevo and welcome to Outback Shed. This face mill has 2 clamps, one to clamp the anvil to the body and the other to clamp the insert into the anvil, providing additional clamping force on the anvil itself. There isn't a way of micro-adjusting the inserts. There appears to be damage on the outside edges of the back metal, the face and the nose of the anvils. This will indicate possible contact with the workpiece. All of this will make setting new inserts difficult. I'll put this on a surface plate and make some further assessments, but first I need to make a 40mm plug that will sit inside the mill and allow it to rotate on centre. I'll cut a piece of aluminium off some bar stock in the bandsaw. Next I'll turn this down to size in the Sheraton. This lathe is old school. It doesn't have a digital readout, so all adjustments are made from the hand wheels. This lathe was built in 1975, but I've only had it for around 18 years. I'll clean up all faces and bring them roughly to size, then I'll bore the hole for the magnet. The size of the hole is not critical. It's bored to within a millimetre of the bottom and is just large enough to take a powerful magnet. The only critical dimension is the outside diameter that sits inside the face mill. It must be a very close fit to the bore, which is 40mm. I'll get as close as I can by turning and then polish it to the final size with some Scotch-Brite. After isolating the lathe, a final test fit with the mill and the plug is complete. I'll set a dial gauge up on the surface plate and insert a magnet into the plug. The face mill will rotate freely on the hub, and the dial gauge should give an indication of how even the inserts are mounted. But this isn't working for me. I think I'll move the setup to the Colchester. A few months ago, I built a scissor arm to mount a microscope, amongst other things, on the lathe. It may prove useful here. I'll mount the face mill on its arbor between centres and line up the microscope so that the inserts sweep past the centre of the screen. These are not new inserts, they are the best of an old bunch that I had lying around. The microscope has crosshairs that provide a visual reference on the screen. It can record what it sees, but the crosshairs don't appear on the recording, so I have digitally superimposed some for reference. I have a new pack of inserts and I'll use these when I reassemble it. I'll dismantle the parts and keep them together for each set. After washing everything with cleaning solution and a rinse with isopropyl alcohol, I'll reinstall the anvils and clamps and set it back up between centres. The clamp works by way of a set screw that has both a left and right hand threads. With the screw starting between the block and the clamp, tightening the screw winds it into the body while at the same time pulls the clamp into place. I'll start by mounting the anvils and use a dial gauge to get them as even as possible. I'm not sure how successful this will be given the damage to them as identified earlier, but it's a place to start. I'll reassemble the rest of the mill with the new inserts. Just as an aside, the microscope comes with a table stand and I bought it to assess inserts and high-speed steel cutters. It goes up to 1200 magnification and has proven useful. These are pictures of an insert I used on the four-jaw chuck centering project. As there is no means of fine adjustment to the anvils, for example a set screw, the adjustment is purely down to feel. The arm on the dial indicator is showing some flex and this is adding some frustration to the process, but that's the indicator I have. A no-go would be nice, but I just don't have one. I've got it the best I can, but I'm still not confident that it meets the required standards. The best way that I know of to measure the setting of the inserts is with a Z-axis preset height gauge. I'll mount the assembled face mill into the mill and zero the gauge just below the maximum height it will measure. This will allow for the insert to climb onto the measuring pad without disturbing the gauge. It's now easy to see the actual deviation of each insert in both inches and millimetres. I don't know what the standards are for this particular mill, but it could be set better. This is the best I can get when setting it by feel. The only thing left to do now is test it. I'll take a light finishing cut on test pieces of both aluminium and steel. Using the surface plate didn't do much for me. I think the second dial gauge brought some confusion and I expected too much from it. As a small copy of a projection microscope, my microscope setup in the lathe did prove valuable for inspection and visual, but was of little benefit to setting the inserts. Setting the assembled face mill up between centres certainly made it easier to work on, and the dial gauge did work, but it was still a manual touchy-feely process that took a lot of time. But in a hobby environment, that's what we do. The final results are pleasing, and we got there in the end. As always, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and give it the thumbs up. Be productive, be creative, but most importantly, be safe in your shed. Catch you next time.